Well, despite President Trump's endorsement, the House failing to act on immigration reform, the House rejecting the Republican compromise bill on border family separations. So where do we go from here? Here now is the Director of Policy Studies at the Center for Immigration Studies, Jessica Vaughan. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
So you say not a big surprise that this failed. This was pretty much expected.
Yes, it was expected. The folks we were talking to in the House were saying that the amnesty was just too large without enough offsets to chain migration, that there were too many new provisions thrown into it that were different from the Goodlatte bill, which was voted on before, which had about 70-some more votes than this bill, which originated really with leadership, with Paul Ryan. And it was, I think, doomed to fail to begin with because of the size of the amnesty and the lack of chain migration cuts to offset it. And it lacks some of the key enforcement provisions as well.
Right. Let's go back to the Goodlatte bill, though, because I spoke with Josh Jordan shortly after that, and he said, you know, they really didn't give that enough credit where credit was due.
Yeah. That's right. That was a bill that had been in the works for years, and that it also addressed the top priorities of the Trump administration, the career people within these immigration agencies who identified what the urgent needs are. And it was a much more limited amnesty to people with DACA, with some offsets in chain migration. So it was a much more realistic set of things to try to accomplish without getting out of hand. When it went to leadership, some more things were piled in there to benefit some special interests, and people started to become frustrated with that and with the fact that the amnesty was so open-ended, covering people that had never been on the table before, like the adult sons and daughters of guest workers and so on. And it just became too big and too unwieldy and too hard to get a compromise on. It wasn't really a compromise.
Right. And they knew that this would not pass if it even got to the Senate to begin with. So what happens next?
Well, I think what's going to happen is that there are some urgent problems that need fixing. For example, this problem of the continued influx of families from Central America coming here illegally and asking for asylum. That's a disaster right now that needs to be fixed. If the Republicans can focus on more narrowly focused bills that deal with specific problems and can get agreement within among Republicans in the House, I think those types of bills are going to have much more of a chance of passing, and they're going to put Democrats in a tough position. Are they going to, the Democrats going to say, no, we don't want to fix this problem at the border, and we don't want to deal with things like, for example, sanctuaries or the asylum reform or the wall? That's the way to go about. That's the way things have passed in the past.
What about the possibility
getting things done on immigration?
I'm sorry, just because we're running out of time, and I want to ask this because of what's happened, you know, with the Supreme Court, the travel ban, that type of thing. What about the possibility of executive action by the president? Do you think he's more empowered to do that right now?
Well, as long as it remains within his authority, he may. The Supreme Court has affirmed that the president does have broad powers when it comes to national security matters related to immigration. So, yes, I would expect to see more action there and more clarity for what can be done because there really are some very serious problems at the border that are affecting communities all over the country that need to be addressed.
Yeah, have to get something done somehow. All right, Jessica Vaughan joining us this morning. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.